Oh, man.
You like the tacos?
It's going to be a hard interview. You can change who you are as a person and become better. If there is a book to be written about our relationship, it's Veda who's going to write it, not me. Veda and I are together with the knowledge that we would be fantastic on our own.
Mm-hmm.
We're just even better together. The best memories I have from my childhood. The walls in our bedroom were full of holes from suplexing each other and our feet just hitting the wall and breaking it.
I'm trying to make it easier from the underwater. I promise I'll make a better intro later. This is the intro for the Taco Blog. Thunder Rosa eating tacos.
Hello, everybody. This is Thunder Rosa. Welcome back to the Taco Vlog. We are here in Detroit, Michigan, a place in where they used to make a lot of cars. They still make a lot of cars, but it's kind of half dead on the other side of the city. So, but there's really good tacos. And today I have a very special guest, someone who I interviewed yesterday in Busted Open, who is, some people will say that you are very French Canadian, right? And a very interesting character.
I think so too. But I think I've...
Mike Bailey's here. Mike Bailey. Mike Bailey, welcome to the Taco Vlog. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited to have you. You are, like I said, you have this really, ever since I met you, I met this man about DDT times.
Yes.
When Ricky Starks was there, remember?
That would have been 2018.
Oh my
yeah,
God,
something like that.
A minute ago, 7 years.
Yeah.
Yes. And you were with your current wife at the time.
Yes.
You guys were like in 2 different countries.
Yes.
Let's start talking about your wild life and living in different countries and having different lives and being like a cat.
Yeah.
So this is like, the cat just settled, guys. So he got adopted now by AEW. Now he doesn't have to go anywhere but the places that are here. But you were a wild cat for a while, right?
I was. It's amazing to be with one promotion now, and I'm going to be here for many, many years. But yeah, I was a rambling man before that. I've been wrestling for 20 years.
Wait, what?
How
old are you, first of all?
I'm 34 years old.
So you started 14?
I started training at 14 in January of 2006. That is where I officially marked the time where I started wrestling. Because that's when I started taking bookings regularly, right? When I was 15.
You were a child. Here. You want carne asada tacos?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Shh.
I give you a little plate because, we're ghettoizing this thing as you talk about being a young boy. And get it here. He likes hot sauce.
Yes, I need the salsa. I need the hot sauce.
He didn't give me lemon. Oh no, you like to put lemon on your stuff?
Yes.
There you go.
Of course. Give me everything.
Okay.
Con todo.
Well, you speak Spanish too?
A little bit. I've been practicing. I've been doing my Spanish on Duolingo extra hard.
Yes.
I was doing Japanese.
Japanese, I'm pretty sure you're pretty fluent.
It's pretty good. I'm definitely not fluent, but it's pretty good. I can have a conversation. My vocabulary is very limited because that's the hardest thing in Japanese.
It is very hard.
But in Spanish, a lot of the words are either the same word in French or in English, or there's a root that's similar, so I can figure my way around it all.
So let's go back to you being a wrestler full time. You 15?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So you started in what area in Canada?
Oh man.
You like the tacos?
It's going to be a hard interview. So not wrestler full time, of course. Wrestling didn't pay because I was right.
No.
They're very, very greasy in a good way. But yeah, wrestling was certainly not my full-time job. Wrestling didn't pay back then. This is 2005 independent wrestling we're talking about, where it's not like the promoters were taking advantage of the wrestlers or anything. No one was making money because one company had a monopoly on pro wrestling. And if you ran an indie show, the only way to really advertise was to staple flyers to telephone poles and hope the rival promoters didn't rip them off. So no one was making any money. This is pre-Facebook we're talking about. And, when you were finally able to advertise shows on social media is when independent wrestling in Quebec started moving a little bit.
So it was really hard for you to actually make a name because you're in the United States. I mean, I'm not going to say it's easier, But there's a lot more opportunities for you to go out,
Yes.
and make a name for yourself.
Yes, Quebec was super isolated because, again, like the neighboring province to Quebec, I'm from Montreal, right?
Mhm.
Neighboring province is Ontario. At least they speak English. So there was a lot of like connections, and there was a lot of wrestlers, that were in major promotions at the time from Ontario. But in Quebec, there really wasn't a lot. There was no French-speaking wrestlers on television from Canada. There was no one. Like Kevin Steen and El Generico started doing like CZW and PWG in like just about the time I was starting. They were starting to break out into indie wrestling.
So it was who was your like mentor at the time? Because you were a child.
My older brother, who was 2 years older and had started wrestling 2 years before me, like
He's into this taco.
I am. I'm into the taco and into the conversation, which makes it difficult because I want to be speaking on camera with a mouthful. That feels rude.
No, but that's the whole point of this taco vlog.
So the person who trained me originally is Fred Lamerveille, who is a very influential.
Fred?
Fred? Yeah, it means wonderful Fred.
Oh, Fred.
Or Fred the Wonderful, but regardless. Super influential in Quebec. Trained a lot of people. Had a promotion called MWF, which is, again, a promotion where they really let everyone wrestle, which was good and bad, but also like gave people a lot of opportunities in Quebec. And when I started training, it was more of a, like I had been backyard wrestling for, 7 years at that point. So I could already like do a bunch of stuff to the point where like, oh, you see a suplex, you can do it. You see a 450. If you're able to do it off your bunk bed, you'll be able to do it in the ring. But it wasn't like wrestling classes. It was like, okay, you guys, let's set up the ring on Friday and let's just do matches. And
so you're
and
telling me that a lot of these crazy moves that you do, because you're very athletic. If you haven't seen him, there's a thing called YouTube, the one that you're watching this video. Go ahead and get all his stuff. Or even go to Max. Go to Max and watch him. In the last 2 months, he's literally been on every single Dynamite. I'm not lying. Lucky him, not me. I'm not hating, but I'm hating. Lightweight. No. He's excellent wrestler. Now, when I tell you, like, I'm super impressed of his abilities. Oh, there you go. As a wrestler, it's an understatement because he's not only a high flyer, he's a striker, and he knows what he's doing. He wrestles. We were talking about this yesterday, which they cracked me up, and they're like, "What are your favorite barefoot wrestlers?" And I was like, "That took me to custom. That's another story for another day." And you would wrestle barefoot.
Yes.
So you tell me that you used to train barefoot when you were a little kid?
Yes.
Dude, what the fuck?
So I started Taekwondo. Again, what I bring to wrestling is martial arts. I started doing Taekwondo when I was 10 years old. I got my black belt in only 3
Before they
years.
get too cold. So you got your black belt in like less than 3 years.
Yes, because again, I was at that nice intersection where I was able to do the adults classes and the kids classes, and I was just going to training as much as I could. So I would do literally, 3 hours of Taekwondo every day, and I was winning so much in competition, and it's divided by belts. So I went up there very fast, and a lot of people have fun memories and stories of going to parties from when they were teenagers. I don't. I was doing roundhouse kicks.
At home? Do you have like a bag and stuff where you can like kick the bag and stuff? Or?
I don't right now.
No, but when you were little.
Oh, no. I went to Taekwondo school and
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you think that what are the 3 things that you think Taekwondo taught you about life and about, just being a man?
So the best thing I learned is just like, I think that first hurdle for everyone of being bad at something that you really want to do and realizing I'm bad, I'm getting my ass kicked, literally inspiring, you're losing all the time. And then figuring it out that if you work at something hard and long enough, you become good.
Yeah.
And it's possible. And it's not all innate. It's not you either have it or you don't.
Yeah.
You can change who you are as a person and become better. Right. And I had to do that many more times in my life in many different aspects, including pro wrestling, where I started and I was not very good and realized that there was something wrong with what I was doing. And, because of martial arts, I had the confidence to be like, okay, if I work at this
Mm-hmm.
and figure it out, I can become good. And I did. And that's probably the biggest thing I learned from Taekwondo, aside from, footwork, discipline, hard work, all of those things.
Until what age do you stop doing kickboxing? Like, actually in a competitive way.
I think I had my last Taekwondo tournament when I was like 24, which is just before I started like doing PWG, and pro wrestling went very well. And right now, as we speak, I'm like 170 pounds or something. I competed in Taekwondo at 140.
Let's talk about cutting weight.
Yes.
As we
Let's
eat
do
these
it.
delicious tacos.
Mm-hmm.
I only had one fight. It was a professional MMA fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to go to 115 pounds. I'm 140. Right now, I'm 144 pounds. Back then, I was 135. And I remember eating spinach and tilapia for literally 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And distilled water.
Yeah, it's terrible.
You were a child.
I was a child.
How was that for you?
Well, so very bad. Also, I first started cutting weight when I was 16. So that's 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And now I think because of the UFC and how mainstream MMA has become and how well documented like weight cuts and stuff are, the science around it has gotten a lot better. I had no idea how to do it. I would literally just starve myself for a week before a tournament to make weight.
Oh my God.
It was bad. I mean, later, by the time I was 24 and had been cutting weight every 3 months or so for 10 years, for 8 years, I guess, I knew how to do it. I had a pretty good system and it wasn't so bad. I knew.
So what was your system?
So, I mean, just strict diet for like 2 weeks before, then on the last week, just drink as much water as you can, like 10 gallons a day or something, not 10 gallons, 10 liters a day, 10 gallons, 10 liters a day, and then just stop drinking 2 days before. And on the last day, just I would take a very, very hot bath, sit in it for 10 minutes, towel yourself off, get back in there, and so on, weighing yourself every 10 minutes until you're just
Fuck that.
dehydrated. Yeah, it's very bad. It's terrible for you. It should be fully discouraged. Especially like as a teenager, kids should be doing it. I mean, I am 34 years old. I have a great head of hair. Every single other male in my family, up to my grandfathers, all were balding by the time they were 20 years old or something. I have 2 older brothers who both do not have a good head of hair at all. Yeah. Which is a good thing, but I think that's due to me crashing my testosterone cutting weight as a teenager.
Yeah, that's definitely you are made of another breed, I will have to say, because doing that and then doing pro wrestling, that shit is rough. It's like I did it for 1 year, and believe me, I was so jacked up. I remember like doing jiu-jitsu and like they like folding me, and I'm like in excruciating pain because my back was jacked, and I had a booking on the weekend and I couldn't cancel. I can imagine you're like going on these tournaments and you're not even getting paid. Let's put that out there. He's not even getting paid. He's doing this because he loves the sport. And a lot of people do that because they love the sport, because there's no money in a lot of the sports.
It's crazy how it's frequent that you hear independent wrestlers say, man, we're getting paid so little to do this, and you have to go on the road every week and wrestle and train hard, and then you don't get any money. And it's like, yeah, but that's every single sport. Pro wrestling is different because there is a relatively accessible professional avenue. That, like MMA kind of has that now, but like...
But even then, they're not making a lot of money. Like
no.
Some of the fights is like...
Yes.
The purse is like $500.
Yes, not nearly enough to cover the hours you spent training, the cost of your training camp, the equipment. That stuff is expensive.
Yes.
If you look at the percentage, what would you say? What would you guess is the percentage of professional wrestlers, let's say in North America, that make more money doing it than they spend? For whom professional wrestling is a profitable endeavor.
I will say it's a very elite number.
Mm-hmm.
Like I will say maybe 2% of all the professional wrestlers. Like my son actually said that and put it in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, you're in a group of people that make enough money for you to not do what you do, Melissa.
He said, and I said, shut up, kid. But yeah, it's true. Like I
Right.
remember exactly what you're saying. Like I had to wrestle to pay for my camp. My camp was extremely expensive.
Yes.
Because I was doing it pro, right? And my friends that were pro that were trying to go to the UFC, they have full-time jobs.
Yes.
They still have full-time jobs. They're still on the grind. They're still trying to get that opportunity. And I remember one of them he got signed to the UFC. His first was like $5,000 just to get into the ring. I mean, not the ring, the cage. That's not enough.
No.
You have a child, you have a mortgage, you have all that stuff. Like, how are you going to make that money? But it's like, I feel that for you, and this is what I feel like, this is the reason why you always have your feet like on the ground all the time. No pun intended, with no shoes when you're wrestling. Is because of all the stuff that you know went through when you were little in sports, and what made you love the sport the way that you do, right?
1000%. I can't imagine what it must be like getting signed to a place like AEW when you don't have like that life experience, which sounds condescending, but you know what I'm trying to say.
No, it's not condescending.
Like when I started wrestling, there was no one like me on television. Everyone that was signed to a contract was double my size, right? Especially at 15 years old, when I didn't have to cut weight to make 130 back then, right? But there was no one like me in professional wrestling, so I wrestled for like a good, probably, it took me like at 10 years, I was like, oh, maybe this is something I can actually make money with, because it just didn't seem like an option, right? I never saw pro wrestling, I'm doing this because I want to get signed to a company. I was always just doing it because I loved it. And I think it's a very different experience when you get told 2 years into your pro wrestling career, yep, this is your job now.
So you feel like, now we're going to get into like maybe a controversial question. So you feel like the athletes that have like nothing to do with professional wrestling, they get into professional wrestling, they go and train, and I was like, okay, now this is what you're going to do. You feel like the love and the respect for the business is different than the one that we have and what we have to go through?
I mean, I think the path can be different. I don't think like being an independent wrestler makes you special, because I know a lot of guys that went through a very I don't want to say like non-traditional path, but went directly from, college athlete or whatever to pro wrestling, and they just loved it. They embraced it. They understood that there's a science behind it, and they understand how much effort it needs, and just fully embraced it. And I think there's a lot of people that also get told, this is your job, and they get told all the wrong things, and like, no, this is easy for you. You're so big. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to try hard. And if you're trying hard, you're doing it wrong.
Shit.
But I really think, who you are as a person. Because again, MMA was going to give you the same kind of discipline as, any martial art would, or a background in pro wrestling would. So there's a lot of guys that are from an MMA background that learned, all the respect that you need to translate that into success in pro wrestling. And those make very good pro wrestlers.
I feel like there's been a lot of people that comes from the fighting scene, and then they try to be pro wrestlers, and it's difficult, very difficult, right? And I think it would have been something very difficult for you too, because it's you were in combat sports. It's completely different than what we do in the ring. Like what was the thing for you that clicked, and we're like, okay, this is what I do in kickboxing, this is what I do in professional wrestling? So
pro wrestling was always kind of what I wanted to do first. When I started Taekwondo, of course, Taekwondo like took over as a priority for a long time, but it was like, when I get good at this, it's going to be useful when I start pro wrestling, right? So pro wrestling was always the main thing, but I mean, it's very difficult. Pro wrestling, as you know, is a language, right? So when people think, I don't want to do none of that pro wrestling stuff, I just want to do my MMA in a pro wrestling setting, that tends to not work out very well. Because you have to be able to literally communicate with your opponents, and if you're not speaking the same language, it's not going to work out. But I think the ones who are able to, kind of reconcile both, because that's the hardest thing, right? I think something that is very much a struggle for me, and it always has, always will be, just because that's how it is. But I can't tell the person. Like if you're doing jujitsu and you're doing a like a drill, right? And you can say, take me down, get mount, I'll give you my back, switch to an armbar. You can't say that to a professional wrestler. They just won't understand the language and the mechanics behind it. That's too unconventional. The main difficulty with my kicks is I can just tell people, all right, left foot forward, avoid this one, duck this one, catch this one, counter this one with this so I can hit you with this one. They will just freeze up and get kicked in the head.
Beautiful.
But the hardest thing to do is to be able to throw my kicks in a way that I'm going to be able to make them look like they have impact, but not actually knock the person out because they lean into it the wrong way and just fully take it.
Do they understand that you're a dangerous weapon?
I think so. But I think this is also why boxing historically has not translated well to pro wrestling at all. Because it's very hard to throw punches and have someone who's never done boxing react to them the way a boxer would want them to.
But there's no way to react. Depends on how you get hit. That's how you're going to react.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. If you've ever been punched in the face, you know what I'm talking about. It doesn't feel right. I fucking hated getting punched in the nose. There was somebody who keep punching me in the nose, my coach, and then a couple of guys when we used to spar. We used to have like sparring nights for the pros. And, you know, let's be honest, I wasn't very good at MMA. I tried. I have a lot of heart. I wasn't very good at it. I love it because it's just like what it makes me feel and what it makes to my body. But fuck that. Like, I hated getting hit, especially leg kicks. They're the most painful thing ever. Or when they do the tippy kick. Do you do those in Taekwondo? Can you do those?
Yeah, it's at the front kick.
Yeah.
You know.
And they get you in the sternum. You can't breathe. You want to vomit. And then, what was it? And then the roundhouse kick. A couple of my friends got like completely knocked out from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not a joke. It's something serious. So just push for that for those who want to get into combat sports. Know what you're getting yourself into. It's great. It's great. It's a great journey, but just know what you're getting yourself into. Now we're gonna switch gears a little bit. I want you to talk about Vita, because I know that she's been like in your life for a while, and then you were starting talking about it at the beginning of the vlog. How do you guys met, and how do you guys end up getting married? And you guys got married in Vegas?
We did.
Yes.
We got married by Elvis, or rather an Elvis impersonator, not the real Elvis, obviously. His name was Travis, and he knows Chris Jericho. So Veda and I met in the U.S. When I was wrestling here a long time ago. We just met and became friends. And then I got banned from the U.S. for 5 years.
Because you came and wrestled?
I came and wrestled without a work visa. And it's shortly after that ban that Veda and I, like, she came up to Canada to visit, and we were like, can we make this work as a relationship? Knowing that I can't enter the country in which you live, because Veda is American, and that you can only come up to Canada, you know, you still have to work and you can't stay in Canada for that long. And it's like, well, how are we going to make this work? And then we had both started wrestling in the UK just a little bit and traveling more. So it was like, okay, maybe we can just base ourselves in the UK for 2 months and see how this works. So the the most time we had spent together, right as we had you know, started our relationship, we spent 2 months wrestling in England, doing 3 shows a weekend together, living in some spare bedroom of some guy's house in a town in the middle of England called Rugeley.
I never heard of it.
In an area no one has. We remember it fondly. And that was basically until the pandemic. That was our relationship. We'd spend 2 months together, either in Canada sometimes, in the UK, in Germany, in Japan. We'd spend 2 months together, then we'd spend 2 months apart, then we'd spend 2 months together, and we had to organize our schedule and book our whole lives around wrestling in order to be able to be together.
Wow.
And that was until the pandemic, where we weren't able to see each other for 9 months. because they shut down the border.
And I'm complaining.
And then eventually the Canadian government put in an exception for non-married couples to be able to see each other and cross the border, which was a ridiculous process where Veda had to quarantine and take 9 tests in order to pass the border. But the second she finally came back to Canada, after 9 months of not seeing each other, is when I proposed.
Aww.
And then eventually the pandemic ended. I got a U.S. work visa, and as soon as I was back in the United States legally, we got married in Vegas.
If you could write a book about this story, how would you name it? Because that's an unbelievable story.
Oh man, I don't know. Veda reads 3 books every single week, so you'd have to ask them.
Shit.
Because if there is a book to be written about our relationship, it's Veda who's going to write it, not me.
I mean, you seem pretty like an. I mean, I'm gonna use this word loosely, but a pretty intellectual person. Are you an intellectual person?
I don't know.
Or you're just a smart guy?
I don't. So okay, I think smart but not intellectual is an accurate way to depict how I was in high school. Where I was the guy who would just never show up to class.
And you fucking got A's all the
still
time.
got A's, yeah.
Damn it. Darn it.
Veda does great.
No, I know.
Yeah.
She's such a hustler, man. That's like
Trying so hard.
I commend her, like, because she works very, very hard. I mean, she worked with us for a while. Like, what is the one thing that you feel like now that you're in a relationship with her has changed your life and your perspective about who you are as a man?
Everything. Well, there's so many things, honestly. Like the way Veda sees the world and cares about people, not like even people specifically, but just people in general, and how aware she is of how other people feel, how she feels, her mental state has helped me connect with that so much more. And I don't know, I feel like how well Veda knows herself, and just by seeing that, being part of that, has helped me realize, that has helped me know myself a lot better.
How would you, if you could describe your relationship or your love for her, how would you describe this?
So I think that, to take a very, very long detour, because we were long distance for so long, what made Veda and I's relationship work is how happy we are on our own, by ourselves individually. And that makes us happy together, if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense.
The knowledge that our love is fully conditional, and that
That's an interesting way.
Yeah, no, seriously, it's fully conditional. And if one of us screws the other one over, divorce immediately, no second thought.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's an intense answer.
but which again, funny feelings about like death and loss too as a whole, that I don't think we really can get into. But I feel like generally relationships ending are a good thing. I think it's very rare that 6 months from a relationship ending, people aren't like, yes, it was a good thing. It's very rare, and if it is, it's extremely unfortunate. And personally, you're probably messing up in some way. But Veda and I are together with the knowledge that we would be fantastic on our own. We're just even better together.
I like that in a weird way. It's an interesting perspective, I guess. But I mean, the good thing is that you both know where you are. You guys have it seems like you have very good boundaries with each other.
Yes.
Right? And you guys, we call it, there's always, in Spanish, we always say, there's a roto para un descosido, which means there's one broken person for another broken person. But it's not in a bad way. It's like you will always find that person.
Yes.
Right?
I think that's very accurate. Yep.
And let's talk about your family and your family nucleus and how you grew up to be the person that you are. Like, was your mom and your dad the same way that made you be that way, or they were just like always on each other, or they're divorced, whatever?
Oh boy. Okay. So this is a very family situation. So my father had, since I was born, basically multiple sclerosis. So he was in a wheelchair his whole life.
Okay.
that I knew him. He passed away in 2019, and him and my mom. When I was a child, I didn't know if they were together. I thought they were together, but they weren't. So my father lived in the basement of the house.
Okay.
One house, one normal.
Yeah.
Lived in the basement because he had like, it was all adapted for
Okay.
his wheelchair, and there was an elevator and stuff like that for him to be able to go down. He lived there with my stepmom, who I wasn't sure was my stepmom, and my mother lived upstairs.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Were they married? Were they separated? Like,
I mean, they I don't think they ever got unmarried. Like, I don't think they ever got officially divorced.
this is fucking interesting. So, how old were you when you were living with your stepmom and so you have two moms?
Yeah. I mean, they weren't together.
No, I know, no.
Yeah.
Your dad was a G then. Shit, like he had like the living it and like that's interesting. How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have 2 brothers, 1 sister, so 4
The
siblings.
same mom or
Yep.
like?
Yep, all the same mom.
So the stepmom didn't have kids?
No.
Interesting. Were you guys close? Are you guys still close? Your family?
I'm still very close with. So one of my brothers still lives. One who wrestled still lives in Montreal, and I see him quite a lot whenever I'm in town. I stay with my mother, and he still does Taekwondo. He still teaches at the school.
Oh, wow.
He did that all with me, and we still train together when we can. During the pandemic, or during the parts of the pandemic where we were able to do pro wrestling, he got back into it, and he was just at training at the school. Didn't do any shows, but it was great to have him around. So I'm still very close with that brother. The other ones, my sister has her own family, moved a little bit further away, so I only see her a couple times a year. And my other older brother right now travels the world and fixes amusement parks. Something weird. I'm not even sure what his job exactly is.
I mean, weirder than being a professional wrestler?
No, certainly not. Certainly not.
And if there's a memory that you have and you would like to share with the fans and with my fans, like what would that be? Something with your family that it's very dear to you.
Man, it's very hard to say. Honestly, the best memories I have from my childhood were I guess when we started backyard wrestling, the 4 of us would do it together, all 4 kids.
Oh, wow.
And that was always great.
No broken bones?
No broken bones. No injuries, I think.
Lucky.
The walls in our bedroom were full of holes from suplexing each other and our feet just hitting the wall and breaking it. But yeah, a lot of my sister trained but never wrestled, and my other older brother wrestled for like 10 years.
Wow, that's a very interesting story. Like just on the surface, I mean, I'm pretty sure you have some crazy long stories with your brother, especially traveling with your brother in Canada and like doing stuff. Right?
When we started wrestling, when I started wrestling, because he's already going at it for a little bit, but we basically wrestled each other all over Quebec. We would go and just have variations of almost the same match all over the province and wherever we could.
Who do you think was best, you or him?
So I think he was the base for me, right?
Oh, okay.
So he was better than me, but I looked better because I did all the cool stuff. When I started wrestling, my finisher was a Phoenix Splash. So the promoters, that was the coolest move they'd ever seen. So I would win every single match all the time because I had a cool finisher. So it was always me beating my brother.
Jerk. Was he okay with that?
Yeah, he didn't. He knew the deal.
Like,
yeah, he was fine.
There was never fights of like, you know, you're getting better opportunities than him and blah, blah, blah.
No, because we were never, ever focused on that. Again, we were very much focused on like the technical side of wrestling, and having good matches was the priority. And we kind of always felt that the independent wrestling we were doing was temporary. So like wins, losses, championships, we kind of knew that all that was like focusing on that would be very short-sighted. But I remember, it's funny because when my brother and I would do backyard wrestling, we thought we were great, right? We could do all the cool moves and all the cool flips and all that. And we were like, man, when we start wrestling, we're going to be so much better than all those guys around. And we were so right.
Oh my God.
It was very bad. Wrestling was terrible.
I mean, let me tell you, I still go to certain, joints in all over the United States, and I'm just like, yeah, some things never change.
But I think that, again, it's always a context problem, right? Where a lot of guys were just like seeing what was happening on television. Oh, we're going to do that, not realizing that they didn't have access. Like, one, you're not nearly as famous.
Yeah.
There's no cameras on your show. You're only performing for a live audience.
Yes.
The shows happen once a month, so the audience doesn't remember storylines or anything
Yes.
like that. It doesn't matter. And me, my brother, and my friends just watched like Dragon Gate or Ring of Honor, and we're like, yeah, we just want to do cool wrestling for the live audience.
Oh my God. Great times. Great times. Great times. So now we're going to fast forward to that. Let's talk about your PWG time. Then let's talk about a little about DDT and then your stint in TNA.
Yes.
How was that for you and how it made you build your persona now that you are in AEW?
Yeah. So PWG happened what felt like super fast, right? 2015 and 2016 in the US is where a lot of people saw me for the first time. And it was great because I was always having this reaction of, I come out, I'm very small, I'm wearing my Taekwondo uniform and looked very silly, and audience being like, boo, what's this guy?
Yes.
And then the match starts and I'm kicking the hell out of my opponent, and instantly they flip. Yeah, so I really got to get a good run out of being an underdog. And that got me a lot of matches with people that were a lot better than me at the time, including like Kenny Omega.
You wrestled Kenny?
I wrestled Kenny at PWG in 2016.
Holy shit.
And I
forget that you've been wrestling for 20 years.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. But that match was one that I remember specifically being like, okay, the way Kenny is approaching this match, the way his brain works and how he's seeing everything that's going to go down is next level. And that's where I have to get to.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was banned, DDT was somewhere that I wanted to go.
Yeah.
And they had already been in contact, so we made that work, and that was the next logical step.
And they put you to work, brother.
They put me to work. It was fantastic. So the after my first tour, their offer was like, okay, great. Now burn your passport and live in Japan. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I wanted to like spread out as much as I can, be as many places as I possibly can while I was banned, in hopes that when I would return, I would have some good opportunities, which I eventually did with TNA. But DDT is where I learned what objectively good professional wrestling is.
I love your choice of words. It's like great.
Right?
That's one of the things I actually like about how you talk. I was just gonna ask you, but I'll ask you off there. This cat knows how to talk. Let's put it that way.
But these are things that I've thought about a lot, and I've had to relay to many other people.
Yeah.
Because objectively good professional wrestling versus subjectively good professional wrestling is a very important thing to be aware of.
Yes.
I think, even though it's not like an actual thing, it's just a fucking thing for me. But like, there's a lot of very, very good wrestlers who perform beyond expectations in their home promotion or in front of one type of audience. And then if you put them elsewhere, they won't know what to do.
Yep.
In DDT, oftentimes we had to wrestle like in the middle of a shopping mall on gym mats.
Yes.
With not only an audience that doesn't know who we are, an audience that is not there to see professional wrestling.
They're just there to chill.
They're just there to chill.
And get drunk.
Right?
Yes.
But somehow the wrestlers from DDT, they know exactly what they have to do through professional wrestling to get them interested.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what an objectively good professional wrestler is. It's someone who will able to accomplish what they set out to do through professional wrestling in any given situation. And I really learned the difference between subjective and objective in professional wrestling, and learned to appreciate context and the differences. Like a lot of the matches that are excellent on AEW television wouldn't be very good on an indie wrestling show. And a lot of matches that happen on an independent wrestling show wouldn't be good presented on mainstream television. You have to understand the contextual differences in order to make the right choices, in order for the match to be good in the context in which it's presented.
Now you can see Professor Speed Mike Bailey talking to you about what professional wrestling in different areas is. Read the room. Pretty much it's like, you have to read the room. You need to know where you're working. And in DDT, that's one of the things that I like when I was over there, when I was working Tokyo Joshi Pro or like watching DDT, is like how different they were.
Yes.
And like the opportunity that they accept the quirkiness and like the weirdness and how different it is, because I work in Stardom, and Stardom was like fucking cookie cutter. Like the pretty girls were the pretty girls. The weird girls were in this oedo tie forever. They put it in this fucking staple. I was just like, and you're in a box. And I feel DDT is like, you are who you are, and we accept you for who you are.
That was such a big lesson for me.
Yeah.
The first time I went to see Tokyo Joshi, I remember I went with Guanchulo, Diego. By the way, shout out,
Guanchulo!
Diego. Yes. Great guy. He was from Chile. He wrestled with DDT for a long time. But
He's not there no more?
he went recently. He's not there right now, but I know he went recently. He's still active. He's still wrestling in Chile, where I'd love to go, by the way. But went to my first Tokyo Joshi show, and one of the like undercard matches, there was this girl, and I was like, she doesn't seem very good at professional wrestling. And then Diego was like, no, she's not, and they fucking love it. And I was like, hell yeah. But that's how it works.
Who was that?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? Because I remember like one of the things when I talked to Maki.
Yeah, but so Maki is a great example of that. When she started wrestling, when they put her in the ring for the first time, she was not very good. And now the Tokyo Joshi audience got to see her not be very good, get better to now being one of the hottest professional wrestlers in the entire world.
Because she embraced the gimmick.
Yes.
She embraced the fact that she is, she's an idol girl. She comes and sings. She does silly shit. She's had some like she's the queen of hardcore, she calls herself. She trolls the fans too now. And I mean, she bought the gimmick and she understands who she is now. Right. And it's like, that's what, I mean, for me, that was the beauty of Tokyo Joshi. That's where I met Mina too.
Yes.
When she first started, and she was like, her confidence wasn't really, really high. And now look at her. She signed in with us, with AEW, and look at the difference. You know, so I feel like those spaces, DDT and Tokyo Joshi Pro in Japan, are so needed and necessary for all of those misfits. Like, I consider myself being a misfit because there's a place for you.
I think that's why I fit so well in DDT, because I am just fully unconventional and a different kind of professional wrestler, which is exactly what DDT wanted me to be there. It's just different from everything that they have.
Yes. So thank you, DDT. Thank you, Tokyo Joshi Pro, for existing. You guys are amazing. I can't wait to go back to Japan. Wing, book me again. All right, Mike, where's your name coming from? Speed Mike.
So
Speedball Mike.
IWS is one of the biggest independent promotions in Canada, and there was a guy called Michael Laco Ryan who passed away now, but he was a writer. He wrote a lot about Quebec wrestling back in the day, and he described my style in one of my first matches as bouncing around the ring like a speedball.
Oh.
So you know the Speedball, right? Which is a nickname that the promoter, whose name is PCP Crazy F and Manny. Shout out Manny. Absolutely love.
That's a long ass name.
Right? And I love it again because it always begs the question, what is Speedball? And also, I love the nickname because I didn't give it to myself.
Yeah.
And I hate when guys like, especially me, look at me. Imagine if I was like the Monster or some bullshit. No, Speedball is much better.
The second question was, when you came to AEW and you did your first promo, like, how did you feel, and what did you want to convey to the people that never seen you, that don't know anything about you, just like in the Indies, but now on a bigger platform?
So, I mean, this is something that you can probably relate to. English is my second language. And I honestly, one of my biggest regrets in professional wrestling is, which is like something that I tried to do. I always thought that, you know, you didn't speak English well if you didn't have, if you didn't sound American.
I'm going to stop you right there. I'm going to take my glasses for this one. It would be stupid for you to think that you don't sound like an American. You sound better than many Americans I know.
I know, because I tried so hard to get rid of my French-Canadian accent, and I regret that now. I honestly, I wish that I talked like this all the time.
Oh my God.
And then
shit.
when I do a promo, then people are like, "Oh, it's okay. He doesn't have to talk fast, or he doesn't have to talk like The Rock, because he doesn't speak English."
You sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger right
I know,
now.
yeah. But it's so much easier. But no, now I have to try hard and think and focus about my accent every time. But I'm aware that I sound different. I don't sound like The Rock, and I never will.
Mhm.
So I'm not going to try to make my promos into an impression of some of the guys you saw on TV in the 90s. I'm just going to be me. And I'm very happy that AEW is letting me do that. And they're going to let me sound like who I am and not try to make me do cookie cutter promos that were
Yes.
molded after someone else.
Now that you were speaking like you speak, can I get a little bit more of that? That's actually very interesting. So people used to make fun of my accent?
Not make fun. Not make fun because I wasn't around many people that spoke English.
Okay.
But I mean, they do. Whenever, like, Stu Grayson has a very strong accent. I don't think people make fun of him because he's a pretty scary guy. But he does have a very strong accent that people notice and, like, becomes a talking point, right? And again, watching pro wrestling growing up, there was no one that sounded French Canadian.
There's still no one that sounds French Canadian.
There isn't. There was again, Sylvain Grenier was on TV, Sylvain Grenier.
Savon.
But they never let him speak.
So, did you take classes for like diction and stuff?
No. Again, when I started Taekwondo, the school was pretty much bilingual. So then I started speaking English as much as I speak French. And even to this day, I speak English with my older brother, but I still speak French with everyone else in my family.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, again, if you are English is your second language, understand that it's okay to have an accent. It is okay that people are going to ask you where you're from, because they will always ask you where you're from, or they will ask you this thing, which they asked me. Are you slow? Like, they call they actually use the R word for me when I was in high school. Yeah, and I was just like, no, motherfuckers. I just learned how to speak English.
Quebec the province is bilingual. The official languages of Quebec are French and English. Right?
Oh, interesting.
So everyone speaks at least a little bit of both. In Montreal, everyone speaks both. That's why you don't need to learn French, because most people who speak French also speak English. I think it's a very American thing to be like, no, one language, this is our language, and if you don't speak it the same way we do, you're wrong. But if you go to Europe, everyone speaks 3 or 4 languages.
And everybody has an accent.
Yes.
Everyone.
It's just normal to have an accent.
It is normal. Let's normalize beautiful accents. All Americans, we travel all over America. All the Americans have accents too. Southern, northern. Like when we went to Jersey, like were you in Atlantic City?
I wasn't, no.
In Atlantic City, like the thick New Jersey accent. I feel like the guy was going to punch me in the face when he was talking, right? The New Yorkers have a very fast and very like stern. Then you go to the South, they speak a certain way. You go to like Florida, they speak a certain way. You go California, they speak a certain way. Like Northwest and Chicago and all these areas, they have like their own words for certain things. So it's like America, is diverse. I know that now that word is prohibited in the American dictionary, but we are very diverse. And you got 2 people that came from different countries. He already knew the language. I had to learn the language. But we are trying our hardest to be our authentic self and also to respect where we live, right? So it was very, very good to get to know you to this level, because I always see you and I know you're super nice. You and your wife are amazing people. But just to know your story and for me to put it out there for the people to know a little bit of your story, it's so interesting. And what do you think about the tacos? Because I know you said, are we going to talk about the tacos? What do you think about the tacos?
Oh, man, so I love the tacos, honestly. They're very good tacos. I love corn tortillas, so I'm glad you had those. Choice of sauces as well. Excellent.
So you would have wanted more hot, spicy?
I definitely want the spiciest. I want the hottest salsa in the world.
Okay, so for all of those who have like businesses with hot sauces, don't mind sending me on my P.O. Box. P.O. is Thunder Rosa, P.O. Box 29624, San Antonio, Texas 78229. Send me those. We're gonna start rating this is our new thing. We're gonna start rating hot sauces, and I'm probably gonna get diarrhea. He doesn't because his stomach is really good and he likes spice stuff. So to wrap it up, what is one thing that you would like to tell the people that don't know you about you in terms of life choices?
In terms of life choices?
Yeah, like what is like reaching your dreams, your goals. I always talk about not being afraid of taking risks, right? And that's like my thing. What is one thing that helped you to achieve your dreams and your goals in life?
Oh, I think, man, embracing who you are is a big part of, man. Again, in pro wrestling very specifically, but learning that I was not anything like the pro wrestlers that I watched on TV in the 90s, I think is a big thing in life. And knowing that what works for you, even if it's weird and doesn't work for anyone else in the world, if it works for you, it's fine, it's good, it's valid, and you should embrace who you are and do whatever you need to be happy, even if that's not what anyone else would want to do to be happy.
Wow, that's a very powerful message. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Mike. And where can they follow you?
I'm at Speedball Bailey on all the major social media platforms. You can watch my vlog and more content on my YouTube, Speedball Mike Bailey. And I stream on Twitch. We watch wrestling, we hang out, we talk. Sometimes we play video games. Sometimes we try to play video games and never actually get to them. But that's on twitch.tv/SpeedballBailey. I have a Patreon, and on that Patreon, I put a lot of videos, including early access to vlogs and little stuff. But most interestingly, I have an ever-growing, I think there's 10 videos now, where the last one is me talking about tag team wrestling's match structure for nearly an hour. But I've got, I think that's the 10th video in that series, but it's ever-growing, and I plan to make a lot more.
Well, there you go. This was my interview with Mike Bailey, an enjoyment of a conversation, just, again, a reminder that you need to be and embrace your true self, and you will find, in a way, weird things and happiness. And it's the truth. Like, it really resonated with me. I just want to tell you that, like, when you were saying that, because sometimes people don't understand us, and they just put us in these weird categories, and they just push us away, right? And it can be very hurtful, but also use that as a superpower, because people, we're not everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. It's like not everybody likes asada tacos with onions and cilantro. Not everybody likes carnitas. They like pollo, right? But the carnitas are still good and delicious and fat. And somebody's gonna like them, right? So, like I said, I always have it like with this with food. It's like we're not everybody's favorite cake or flavor of the week, and that's okay. Accept it. Keep working on yourself and move on. And again, this is Thunder Rosa. This was the Taco Vlog. Thank you so much for continuing to follow. We are super close. Probably by this time, we are going to be about 100,000. I want to thank you, every single one of you. 100,000 Thunder Army is getting stronger. Let's get bigger and bigger. Tell your friends about this. Don't forget to follow me, like and subscribe, and hit the bottom, the like button, and the notification button, so it's dropping next week. The other one. Follow the vlog that I have on Saturdays. And remember to purchase my merchandise on awshop.com. This is a new t-shirt. Do you have a new t-shirt?
I do, yeah.
Oh, you know what? By the way, when they sell this one for 1 hour, your fucking face was on my t-shirt.
That's right. I got a bunch of tweets.
Yes.
We shipped the wrong one.
It's perfect. See? It's
synergy.
That's the word. Synergy. They were putting his face, now he's on the Taco Log. He was on the Taco Log. Thank you so much. And remember, guys, like I always tell you, not everybody is your best friend. Take care. of like fans that are like into your feet?
I have a couple of guys.
Of course you do.
I have a Patreon, and I just use it to like post vlogs before they come out and
Mhm.
other little videos and stuff. But I have a couple guys that are on there just because they no. Well, so I've had a couple guys ask that. I don't, but also I don't know why you would want a picture of my feet because you can just see them anywhere.
No, they just like they have a thing for that shit. It's not.
But yeah, the guys just send me money and they like comment with foot emojis on my stuff, and it's like great.